All right, so welcome to the Webinar Week for 2024. Today we'll be talking to Ramyla Dahmer, who is a student at Ford University, and we will be talking to her today about what it's like being a leader in the Black and Neuro community. So thank you so much, Ramyla, for coming and joining me today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
So my first question for you is, as the founder of the Neuroscience Club on Harvard University campus, how did you approach building a community from the ground up? And what leadership qualities did you find were most important in that process?
I would say founding the Neuroscience Club really required a lot of teamwork the most and collaboration. I know that Naomi, Asia, and I had a lot of communication and conversations before this even became a thing, just talking about different tasks and already delegating before anything even started. And I think that really helped us when it came time to actually start things because we already had some sort of structure going on in terms of how we wanted to go about building things. And at that point, all we really needed to do was create the platform. And that started as like a online group meet. And so that had an influx of people join, and then it all sort of became just a very common, very plethora of people that joined our group chat. And that became the Neuroscience Club sort of platform first. As in terms of leadership qualities, collaboration is one of the biggest, definitely. And definitely just communication. Communication's a very pretty basic, but it's a very, very foundational leadership quality that I think helped us a lot in building the club.
Very well said. And of course, you see your efforts in the club's efforts contributing to the broader neuroscience community as a whole.
I definitely see our initiative in terms of like the initiative to want to build the club definitely growing into something that can serve as like a platform for the neuroscience community that is at Howard that hasn't really had the opportunity to engage in a lot of things together at Howard, given that Howard does not have a neuroscience major on the undergraduate level. So I would definitely say that our efforts in building the club will contribute to a more together and present and hopefully active neuroscience community that will, in the long run, hopefully lead to the establishment of a neuroscience major at Howard so that we can expand our horizons in terms of majors and studies that are available at Howard.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to turn the attention to a little bit about your individual journey as a student who is looking to study medical. So, in your experience, can you first tell us a little bit about how you got into neuroscience, if you don't mind? And then, in your experience, the key to turning individual involvement to collective action.
Yes, so I took an AP psychology class my senior year of high school where I basically learned a ton about the brain, its mechanisms, a lot about how that translates into the way that we act in our behaviors, a lot about how nature combines with our environment to build who we are. And I thought that it was just a concept that I could spend hours studying. And I found myself fascinated with just the idea of the brain and its capabilities in terms of how it can literally make our personalities, but also how it's very easily changed and evolving. In addition, I had a parent, my dad actually, who had a brain tumor that was benign, and he ended up healing completely from it. But this particular tumor was in a part of the brain that controls like growth and things like that. So he had pretty much stunted growth and things going on where he wasn't able to really have like his metabolism was not working the way it was supposed to. But it also reflected in his behavior, like he wasn't able to have as much emotional regulation either. And so when the tumor was removed, it was almost like an immediate change in behavior, which was also something that was pretty fascinating to see, especially like given that it was so close to home that this happened. And but something like that made me really understand like the power of the brain in terms of like how much pathology can really not only change you physiologically, but change you mentally. And so I wanted to get more into like degenerative disorders and neurological disorders caused by maybe tumors and things like that. I would say, in terms of turning individual involvement into collective action, I guess my involvement with the story with my dad and then having the AP psychology class really motivated me to honestly just start talking about neuroscience more. And just the act of talking about it more allowed me to find Naomi and Asia, who also like talking about neuroscience. And together we started talking about neuroscience. And then we realized how crazy it was that so many people have a lot actually to say about neuroscience, but we don't really know who to talk to about it. We ended up deciding to make that platform. And that was how the idea of Neuroscience Club came to be, because we just wanted to have more people to talk to in a home where we can sort of discuss neuroscience.
I want to end off with what advice you would want to give someone who wants to start building their own community or strengthen the one that they're already a part of.
This question really kind of piggybacks off of the last question because I would have to say start off by talking. I think we never know what someone is passionate about unless you talk to them. And I feel like, at least, especially for neuroscience, it's not something that, you can just see visibly on someone. You have to start talking, and then you realize a lot of people are actually passionate about neuroscience that you may not have expected as many to be. But a lot of people really like the brain, and that's something I learned by just talking about it. But I would definitely say communicating, but also the biggest part there is that initiative from that communication. So like you can talk about neuroscience and then take that down a path where you're almost talking about things that you can do, actions that you can take to make it easier, make a platform where you can talk about neuroscience. And that's how our club started. We had the communication going on, but then we wanted to take that initiative to broaden and expand our conversations, basically. And so I guess if you are trying to build your own community or strengthen one that you're part of, I would definitely start by communicating to people and then taking initiative in terms of finding or building a platform where you can make that opportunity available.
Well said, Rosanna. Thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate your insight and we wish you and